The rising power of the far right in the UK has been haunting millions of people, especially on the left side of political spectrum, and they are pinning hopes on Andy Burnham now that he might be in a position to reverse the tide uh, of the far right that the country has witnessed during the past few years. And it's not only the menace of far right, but the rising popularity of Nigel Farage is also haunting many people who do not believe in the politics of divisiveness and the politics of polarization. But it is going to be a very arduous task for Andy because there are so many lingering problems. There are so many underlying factors that have been contributing to the right of the to the rise of the far right. One of them is, of course, less investment in public sector. Since the time of Margaret Thatcher, there has been a downward spiral in the public investment, and the government did not invest as much money as required to improve public infrastructure, health, school, colleges, universities, and other departments. There are long queues in NHS. People are still waiting for specialists and other doctors. Uh, a number of government departments are also suffering from the shortage of staff. So it has to be seen if ND could come up with a plan to inject money into these departments and make it easy for an ordinary British person to access healthcare, and does not have to wait for longer time as he's doing at the moment. In the same way, uh, it is widely believed that during the past 2 or 3 decades, an ordinary British man is spending more than £250 what he used to spend, during the time of Margaret Thatcher, and it has been because of the privatization of different public entities, especially water service, and he has hinted at uh, increasing the role of government in the affairs of economy, but it needs to be seen how he tackles it. So if he does not naturally uh, improve the condition of public services, then we should not pin many hopes on the new leader and his policy. In the same way, housing is also one of the biggest issues with some, top banks and top companies having maybe possibly tens of thousands of acre of land, or possibly hundreds of thousands of acre land on the one hand, while ordinary British people have, as compared to these, very little land, maybe uh, 5 or 10% of the total British land mass. So, and then on the other hand, there are companies, there are corporations, there are housing companies that have been owning, tens of thousands of houses, while there are also people who are either homeless or who do not have adequate housing facilities. And it is one of the factors fueling it, of course, the greed of private companies. So it has to be seen how he tides over this issue, and how he reins in these private companies. And of course, the shortage of uh, funding for public projects has also been caused because of the fact that the country has been spending more on non-productive sector like defense. It is believed that billions of dollars have been invested on the on projects related to Ukrainian war, and also because of defense. So defense budget has to be revisited, because if a country keeps on spending a lot of its budget on defense, then it's very difficult for it to extend facilities to its citizen. And Soviet Union was one of the examples that had been pumping a lot of money into defense, and uh, despite having nuclear weapons, despite having one of the largest army or one of the largest armies in the world, it just collapsed without any attack because people did not have enough facilities. They were standing in queue to get basic necessities of life, and no attack took place, and Soviet Union just faltered because its economy faltered, leading to its ultimate collapse. And of course, uh, there has to be a war of narrative, because the narrative of the far right is very strong, and those on the uh, left side of political spectrum, their their presence on social media is almost non-existent, and their presence on the mainstream media is also non-existent. So it's very important to counter their argument, because they try to give an impression that everything or every problem that is there in the UK is because of immigrants. And now many people have bought it, and it's very difficult to tell the people that this is not the case. Naturally, British society, the biggest problem of British society, like any other society, is that of class, but no one is ready to seriously see that problem or analyze that problem. It's very clear, it's very obvious. For instance, Eton College is charging more than 40,000 or 45,000 pound fee a year. And naturally, all the capitalists, no matter what is their color, language, caste, creed, and religion, they can stand it. Like Boris Johnson and David Cameron, who may be white rich guy, they could afford to send their kids to prestigious schools like Eton. Sir Anwar Pervez and Lord Ali, who are Muslim capitalists, they can also do that. Lakshmi Mittal, Rishi Sunak, who are Hindu capitalists, they could possibly also do that. And Sir Lord Smith's family can also do that. That is a Jewish capitalist. But a white working class man, or a black working class man, or Asian working class man, or Caribbean working class man, his kids cannot even imagine entering those prestigious schools, because they don't have enough resources. In the same way, it's not it's the ordinary British people who may have to wait for 6 months, for 3 months, or possibly for a year for different surgeries at NHS. But rich people, no matter they are Hindus, Muslim, Christians, or white, black, Asians, or Caribbean, they can afford to go to private hospitals. Sorry, they can afford to go to private hospitals, and they do not have to do that. So class division is very clear in the UK, and this is the point that we really have to make if we want to win the battle of ideas, or battle of narratives. We have to highlight that the government hardly spends 2 to 4 billion pound on immigrants. Many of them are students who are working here, contributing to this society, also paying taxes, paying which are quite hefty as well. British universities might not able to function if these students are not there, and if they don't pay fee, because there hasn't been enough funding from the government side for these institutions. So we have to counter this narrative. And if we cannot counter, if ND fails to counter this narrative, it's very difficult for him to tide over myriad of problems, including the rise of the far right easily. So let's see what Andy does, and many people are pinning hopes that he might come up with a comprehensive plan to not only solve the basic problems of ordinary British people, but also you know defeat uh, the rising forces of the far right.